So we now move on to petitions for debate, item 54. The Council's petition scheme provides that where a petition secures 1,250 or more signatures, it can be debated for a period of up to 15 minutes at a meeting of the full council. So I've been informed of one such petition for today's meeting, which relates, as with the deputation, to Bright Start Nursery and can be found on page 17 of Addendum 2. So I'm going to call on Suda Pereira, who will be coming in person, I believe, to present the petition for debate. Thank you and welcome. And your little one. Yeah, of course. Take your time. Hi on. Yeah, and just remind you have up to 3 minutes. Thank you.
We present to you our petition to save Bright Start Nursery. The sheer number of people who have signed the petition shows how important the nursery is to the Brighton community. As you will see in the petition comments and the deputation given earlier, Bright Start is a lifeline to so many families with diverse needs who would not be able to access comparable childcare from alternative providers in the city. In a cost of living crisis where many working families are struggling to make ends meet, it is now more important than ever for our local councils to provide affordable and accessible childcare that accepts all children, regardless of their backgrounds, circumstances and needs. Some of you were previously unaware that Bright Start was even being considered for closure, so we are begging you now to oppose the closure going forward. We strongly feel the loss of Bright Start will do irreparable damage to the city and solutions can be found to keep it open. We understand you are facing an unprecedented shortfall in funding from central government. We know that nobody wants to cut services and it's not what you were elected to do. And we support your Give It Back campaign asking the government to return funds to the City Council. However, we also feel more could be done to fight for our services. Cutting services before you've really exhausted campaigning to give it back sends a signal that you don't think it's going to work. But we have faith in you. You don't have to enforce an austerity that is not of your making and does not align with the values you were voted in to represent. The childcare crisis in the UK is one which is currently receiving widespread international and national attention. Your newest member, Councillor Sankey, spoke in the national press about how scrapping childcare support is anti-growth, a claim which is backed by several studies. Surely closing one of the only affordable nurseries in Brighton is anti-growth too. We have looked at private alternatives to Bright Start for our children. They are prohibitively expensive for many of us. The burden of childcare would fall disproportionately on women to give up work or cut back their hours if Bright Start were to close. This week, MPs passed a cross-party amendment to agree that childcare counts as essential infrastructure and can be funded by local governments from their infrastructure budgets if they want to do so. So we are asking you to please make the decision to keep Bright Start open. We know it may not be an easy choice, but there is scope to do so if you want to. As a council that prioritises the vulnerable, we ask you to recognise the vulnerability of our children. They've already been through so much in their short lives, so please don't disrupt their lives any further, and please keep the nursery open. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Could you tell us how many signatures you got on your petition? Sorry, sir. How many signatures you got? Just under 1,500. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. So I'll now call on Councillor Aldbrook as Chair of Children, Young People and Skills Committee to respond to the petition. Thank you, Councillor Aldbrook.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge why you brought this petition, because you brought this petition because Bright Start Nursery is an incredibly important service. And I agree. You may choose not to take this with the sincerity that I mean it, because, and I'd understand if you did, because ultimately I'm the person who's standing up here who has to say to you that I'm really sorry that there are currently draft proposals to close this service. and then that probably seems incompatible with what I'm telling you. We know that Bright Start is amazing and fantastic and supportive, and I know that it provides support that families need. And I know that if we have to make this decision in February, it will be incredibly disappointing. Please believe me when I tell you that I am very, very sorry. I know that Bright Start is amazing because I believe in the value of council-run public services. They change communities, and I personally care so much about the services that are provided for our city's children, young people, and their well-being. The truth is I don't want to do this, and I would be confident enough to say that no councillor wants to do this. But the reality of the situation we're in is that it requires it. Our city is faced with a budget gap of £18 million on top of 12 budget rounds where the council has had to make cuts after cuts. Unlike central government, we have to balance our budget by law. We cannot set a deficit budget, and that means when our funding goes down, we have to make savings. That means that even though we are faced with extreme rises in costs of running services and extreme demand, we have to do so. Every single one of those savings has an impact. Every single one of those savings means that the city loses another valuable public service. And those savings will not be enough either, because to keep open what is left, we're going to have to raise charges too, putting even more pressure on the budgets of people in our city. This is quite simply disgraceful, but it's a sign of 12 years of a vicious Tory government who wants to reduce the size of local councils and the size of government so that they can give money to their friends in private multi-million-pound businesses. They want to put a scalpel to the budget of our NHS. They want to make education a privilege, not a right. And they want councils to stop running the vital services that so many people rely on. Faced with the need to cut £18 million and nowhere else to go, we've had to put some really awful proposals on the table this year. And we have more proposals to find. And that will mean that we lose many other vital public services on top of this. As I've previously indicated, we will be supporting the Labour Group amendment to give you the detail you've asked for in your deputation. And once again, I thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you very much, Councillor Albrook. You've indicated that you accept the amendment. The amendment was to be put forward by Councillor O'Quinn. Do you still wish to read out your amendment, Councillor O'Quinn?
Yes, I would like to.
Thank you. In which case, you have 3 minutes. Thanks very much.
We won't use that. Okay, well, thank you so much for bringing forward this petition. All that I've heard this evening about Bright Start has been deeply moving, and I am hugely sympathetic, as is, the chair of CYPS. It's very challenging times at the moment. We have, as has been said, a major budget deficit next year, and some very difficult choices are going to have to be made. I do appreciate that this is a fantastic nursery, and that especially because it serves such a diverse community in the city centre. I brought forward this recommendation, this amendment, because I feel this has been done very quickly and it hasn't gone to CYPS, and we really need to scrutinise this decision. I'm not saying that it won't go forward. What I'm saying is we need to have a look at this. We need to look at why are the building costs so high. I know there are historic problems with the building, so obviously there are some difficulties there. So we want to look at that. We also want to look at what will happen to those children. Where else would they go? The council have said that they will assist parents to place children elsewhere in a suitable provision, which I hope would be affordable. And also there's the staff at the nursery to consider. So I've asked this to come forward to the January CYPS because I'm aware of budget decisions that will be made later in January, early in February. There isn't a lot on the CYPS agenda at the moment, and obviously officers have all this information ready to hand, but we wish to scrutinise it and to ask questions about it because this is done in our name, and we are concerned about it. It's right across the board here. But it will also give you the opportunity to ask more questions, and you would be able to come, I hope, to that CYPS meeting as well. And so I'm delighted that I have support from the chair of CYPS for this, and I hope that it is a big help to you in just understanding all of this. I think we need to understand it. I also want to do it because there'll be more to come, and I need to make it plain that we need to scrutinise everything that comes before us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Quinn. Could I have somebody from the Labour group to second, please, in Councillor Hamilton's absence? Thank you, Councillor Robbins. Thank you very much. So, do I have any indications to speak from other groups who haven't spoken? Anyone from the Conservative group or the Independents? So is that Councillor Daniel? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Of course, I've heard a lot of stuff tonight. Councillor Allbrook, I don't know if you realise, but the Greens are supposed to be in administration of this city. When you do the budget next year, it'll be your decision, nobody else's. And if you could provide me with 1 year of information where the NHS has been cut under the Conservatives, I'd like that information, because at no time has the Conservative government cut the NHS spending. So that's false for a start. So please, I'm desperate for you to survive. Your plight has been heard by this council, but when it comes to next budget council, it won't be the government that's cutting. It's this administration supported by the Labour Party that will be cutting your Bright Start. So you have to support the Conservatives in the next election. It's not very appealing, but that's what you need to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Janio. If there are no indications from the Conservative group, then I'd invite Councillor Albert. Do you wish to respond to the debate? Okay. So you have indicated that we will accept the amendment. So therefore, we'll put the recommendation at item 54 as amended to the vote. Does Council agree? So I can confirm that the recommendations as amended have been carried. Thank you.